Hello there, this is Alexandr from Sinesquares.net, and today we're going to do a video about all my Eurorack modules. So when I finally got into Modular, my first case was the one by Nano Modules. I think it's called Kaisa 104, which is a great beginner's case because it's small. It has it's a 3U case. It means that it has one row for modules, and it's 104 HP, which is pretty nice. It also has a €1 that you cannot change the modules. That has some utility stuff like a stereo input, a mixer, and a stereo output. It has a multiple, it has a logic module and an LFO. So it's a great case to start because you have all the basics to begin with, so you can just add modules like oscillators and filters that are the things you want to buy when you're starting out playing with modular stuff. You don't want to buy utility modules when you're starting out. Just a few months after I got this case, it was full, so I had to buy a new case, and I went to my friends at synthesizer.gr, which is an amazing shop for synthesizers here in Athens, and I got a bigger case, which is the one I have right here, which is a 6U case that has, I think, 84 HP on each row. And now here we are, only a year after that both cases are completely full, so I had to upgrade and get a bigger case. So I got this monster of a case right here, again by my friends at synthesizer.gr, which is a 9U case that has 104 HP on each row. This is a big case, and I'm gonna use that with the smaller case, the 6U case that I got from synthesizer.gr, because I just need the space. I have a lot of modules, and I have a lot of modules that I haven't put in the cases I already have, so I want to put everything on my cases and have everything ready to go. And this is a heavy case. Getting into modular is definitely getting into a rabbit hole. I mean, you cannot stop getting modules. I'm lucky enough to get a lot of modules from companies for reviews and for these videos, but yeah, I've bought a lot of modules in the past year, and I keep buying more of them, and yeah, it becomes an addiction after a certain point. So for this video I was thinking to do like a ranking video like the other one I did for my synth stuff, but since I have a lot of modules, I think it would be kind of tiring to do that. So I'm gonna take everything from my cases, and we're gonna discuss about all my modules, why I have them, what I like and don't like about them, and give you a few tips for getting into this modular world. So tip number one is to get the biggest case you can afford and that fits your place. You cannot imagine how quickly you're gonna fill up your cases, and yeah, so if you don't want to spend money on buying a case, selling a case and getting another one, it's better to get the biggest you can so you can have space to grow. For example, when I was buying my third case, I was thinking of buying a much smaller one, but yeah, we discussed that and I decided to get the biggest case I could afford at this point because I already had a lot of modules, and I'll probably have like 40 something HP left. So yeah, even now there's not a lot of room to grow, but at the same time I have so many modules and I don't see myself getting a ton of them in the future. So now I'm gonna start taking my modules off the cases, and we're gonna discuss about all of them. So all the modules are out, our cases are empty, and now let's start talking about them. Our first category is going to be utility modules, for lack of a better name, and we're going to start with the simplest of all, which is a mult. This is from 2HP. It's super affordable. It's a passive module. That means that you don't have to power it to work, and yeah, these are great modules. They're so cheap, and you're going to need tons of them. I mean, I'm using modules like this, like the mult, which I have only one, but you can use other stuff to multiply your signal, like these little things right here, which are just like a mult. You plug something in and it has 5 copies of it, which is also of course passive. I mean, you don't need any power for these things. Next up we have the Oxy pipe, which is a module that only works with the Oxy 1, and what it does is that you connect your Oxy 1 to this module, so you have all the connections that are in the back of the Oxy One are now in different outputs right here. You have your CV outputs and your gate outputs. When I first got the Oxy One, I thought about getting this, but I said, you know what, I don't need it. You can just plug the cables behind the Oxy One. But trust me, if you have an Oxy One and you're using it with your modular, just get this thing. I mean, it's not expensive. I think it's around 100 euros and it's a lifesaver. If you have the space and you have, of course, an Oxy One that you're using mostly with the modular, this is a must-have in my opinion. Next module that it's not really a utility, it's more of a sequencer type of module, is the Ritual Electronics Amnis, which is something like a Euclidean type of sequencer. You just plug your clock and another input with any type of signal, and then it just starts to create gate outputs or CV outputs with these 8 outputs right here. It's kind of a tricky module. I mean, it's not extremely straightforward when you're starting out, but if you use it with like a drum module that we're going to talk about later, it's a great pair. You can create all sorts of rhythms with just 2 inputs. It is a very solid module. I don't think everyone will get it, but yes, I tend to use that with drums and it works pretty great for that. Another module by 2HP is the switch. It means that you have an input signal that is going, it cycles through these 4 outputs, so you can have a CV input that will go from output 1 to output 2, 3 and 4, so you can spread something within your system. I got this module only to recreate the round robin type of patches that you can create in the Korg Monopoly, which means that every note triggers a different oscillator, and it kind of works for that. But the only problem with this module is that it's a bit clicky if you use audio with it, so I tend not to use it that much lately. Next up we have Gravity by Sitka Instruments. This is a clock module, and this is an amazing module because it has 6 outputs for clock that you can have any types of subdivisions. It's really easy to use and it just works. I mean, I love modules like this because they do one simple thing and they do it really, really good. It can be like a replacement for a Pamela's workout if you only want the clock features of the Pamela's workout, but only as a clock module, which this is. It's a great module. I also have a full review of it on the website that you can check out, and yeah, I'm using it all the time to sync stuff within my system. One of my favorite utility modules is 1983 by Bastille, which is a module that allows you to have polyphonic patches. By default, most modular systems are monophonic. You can have a lot of voices, but you have to use different CV and gate signals for those voices. But with this module, you can have a keyboard that you can connect to this module and play chords. You can have up to 4 voices, and it also has a kind of magical tuner that tunes your oscillators. Tuning oscillators sucks, so yeah, it's pretty helpful. Next up we have 2 essential modules in my opinion. One is an input and the other one is an output module. Since I don't have the stereo input from my Nano modules case, I had to get an input module because I'm sending a lot of things from my studio in the modular, and I chose the Doppler A119, which is an input module that of course can take an external signal and pass it through the modular, but it can also create envelopes based on the amplitude. I'm gonna do a really fun video about this module. I'm waiting for my second one because I want to have a stereo input. Great module. It's only 70 euros I think, and it gets the job done and adds a few more tricks in your system. And lastly, for an output module, I have the Bastille Chow 2. This is a really good output module. It has 2 stereo inputs. You can also use it to run your modular stuff through pedals and then back in. I have also a review on the website for this module. I'm gonna link all the reviews from the website in the description below so you can find out more about this module right here. So now, since I don't have the other stereo output from the case from Nano, I'm gonna use only this module as an output module. Next up we have a modular essential, which is VCAs and envelopes. The old saying says that you can never have enough VCAs, which is completely true. I have a few multi-VCA modules and I always run out. Same thing goes about envelopes. I just need more envelopes all the time. So I'm planning to add 2 modules to my system, and these are 2 modules by Vostok, which are 6 VCAs in one module and 6 envelopes in one module. I don't remember the names of the modules, but for now we have the following. First up, I have the Alt by Nano modules, which is like one module with 4 VCAs. It's a handy module. I mean, you cannot say too much about a VCA. It's just doing one job, and this is a pretty straightforward module. After that, I have the Hexa VCA, which, as the name implies, has 6 VCAs in one module. I also have a review about this module on the website. This is much more handy because you have more VCAs. It's a bit bigger. I think it's around 10 HP. But as I said, I mean, you can have tons of VCAs. You will always need more and more of them. And last, in terms of VCAs, we have a module that is way more than just a VCA, and this is the Aikido by Bastille. I also have a review about this module. This can act as a VCA for 4 signals, but it's also a mixer. You can create sidechain compression with this module. It has these sliders right here that are really handy. Mute buttons. This is a very good module. It's a bit pricey, but it's such a solid module. I mean, all the time I use it as the end of my chain before going into effects, and it works incredibly fine. In terms of envelopes, I only have 2 modules and I desperately need more of them. One is Serra by Nano Modules, which is just a single envelope, but the cool thing about it is that you can modulate every aspect of the envelope. You can modulate the attack, the decay, the sustain, and the release. And it has a lot of outputs. It has the envelope, the end of cycle output. It has a lot of features for an envelope module. On the other side, we have another Nano Modules module, which is Quart, and this one has 4 envelopes, which have only a rise and fall knob right here, essentially meaning you have attack and release. And the great thing about this module is any unused envelopes can also become LFOs, and this is really handy when you have a smaller system because you have 2 in 1. Essentially, you have envelopes but also modulation. After the VCAs and envelopes, we have modulation. First up, we have 2 2HP modules. In general, I think that 2HP is an amazing company. They make these tiny, really affordable modules that will help you so much during your modular journey. The best thing about it is that when you need something simple, you can never go wrong with the 2HP module. They have pretty much everything, and some of their modules are a bit more complicated, but most of them are pretty straightforward, and they're doing a couple of jobs perfectly in just 2HP. So if you have a small system, or even if you want to try out some concepts, you can just get a 2HP module, and if you really want to invest in that concept, you can then buy a more complicated and sophisticated module. But I still have like a ton of them in my system and I use them all the time, so it's one of my favorite components, and I think that they're essentially changing, the game of modular. For modulation, we have a simple dual sample and hold, pretty straightforward. I mean, it's just a dual sample and hold module, and the R&D, which is a random module that creates random gates and CV signals, and it can be really handy when you want to add randomness to your system. After that, we have one of my all-time favorite modules, and this is Gliss by Bella. This is an incredible module. I mean, it has this touch plate right here that you can record movements, play it like a keyboard in some sort of way, and then you can output those signals into anywhere you want. This is a great way to add some expressiveness to your system because you can play with it, you can use your fingers with this module, and I would love to have more of these. Next up, we have a very experimental, let's say, module by ADAC System, which is Swell Physics. This is a journey. I mean, this module recreates the movement of waves in the sea, and it might sound kind of silly, but if you play with it, it actually feels like those pulses come and go like a wave. It has a lot of features. It has 4 outputs that you can use to modulate stuff within your system. I've used it in numerous ways besides modulation only. I've also used it as a way to create like tremolo type of effects. Very sophisticated, beautiful concept. In general, ADAC System makes amazing modules. They're like some crazy scientists that create modules that are inspired by nature, and I love this module. It's not for everyone, I guess, and you're not going to use it in all of your patches, but it can become like a centerpiece for a musical composition. And finally, we have probably the king of modulation in Modular, which is Oct by Intro and DivKit, plus the expander of Oct. There's not a lot of things to say about this module. I also have a review about most of these modules on the website. Here you have 8 outputs of LFOs. You have a single rate knob that defines your tempo. You cannot sync this module, which I wish I could. I talked to Ben DivKit about this and he told me that this was a decision they made when they were designing this module, letting it be organic, unpredictable, and not something that always stays in tempo. The expander adds 16 more outputs that are separated in 4 groups. This is a power combo. I mean, having these 2 modules in your system is way more than you will ever need in terms of modulation. They're also tiny. I think they're 4 HP each. So yeah, this is a must-have for any system. I mean, I cannot think anyone who doesn't want modules like this, at least Oct without the expander. Next up, we're going to talk about my favorite thing, and that is filters. I have a lot of filters in my system. I love them. I love getting different types of filters with different features. And we're going to start again with 2 HP. I have the MMF, which is a multi-mode filter. It has a low pass, a high pass, or a band pass filter, a frequency control, and a resonance control, and it gets the job done. Super simple module when you need an extra filter. After that, we have a legendary filter, and this is the Wasp filter by Doepfer, which is the A124. This also has a band pass or a low pass, high pass output. It also has this mix of low pass and high pass, which is kind of unique for this module. Mine is a bit noisy nowadays. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but again, one of my favorite filters. It looks great, it sounds great, it has a lot of character, and is a must-have for any system. Next up, we have Neptune by Winterbloom. This is a really unique filter that has a TJ style filter with low pass and high pass. You can also mix signals with this knob right here, the frequency knob. It also has like a feedback circuit built in that can make it become really aggressive and noisy in a good way. It has visual indication for everything with LED lights. A very good module. Sadly, Winterbloom stopped producing modules, so I don't think you can get this or their other module that we're going to talk about, Castor and Pollux. They were one of my favorite companies. I'm really sad they stopped producing more modules, but yeah, that's life. After that, we have System 80, the 860, which is also a multi-mode filter with resonance. It has modulation options, it has dual inputs, and yeah, it sounds great. I think it's inspired by Jupiter filter and has a lot of character. The only thing I don't like about it is that when you start introducing some resonance, you lose a lot of your volume, or your perceived volume, I guess, which other filters don't do that much, but it sounds really good. It's really creamy and beautiful, and I can definitely recommend it. After that, we have not exactly a filter, but a low pass gate. This is the A101-2 low pass gate by Doepfer. I have a video about this bonobo technique that we discussed, where I'm using this module quite a lot. So if you want to learn more about it, you can watch that video. I'm going to link somewhere around here. It's a bit different than a low pass filter, but it can also act like a filter. If you watch my video, you're going to find out why you probably need low pass gates. It's a great type of module that you also don't see in conventional synthesizers, so I think everyone should use at least one. Next up, we have Wyvern by Maelstrom. This is also not exactly a filter. It has a low pass and high pass filter, but it's also a really good saturator. This is the main thing that this module does, but I'm planning to use it earlier in my chain and not in the end with the effects. I'm planning to use it as a filter and a saturator. This module is simply incredible. It sounds amazing. It can do so much gain type of effects. Highly recommended. It's kind of expensive, but I think if you're into more aggressive sounds, distorted, high gain type of sounds, this is an amazing choice. And lastly, we have my favorite filter, which is the Altor by Ritual Electronics. I like this filter for a few reasons. One of them is that all the knobs in every Ritual Electronics module are so smooth, so beautiful, and you want to touch them all the time. And another really cool thing about it is that it has a continuous shape, so you can move from low pass to band pass to high pass smoothly. So modulating that can create all sorts of sounds, which is kind of similar to what the Wasp filter does, but this module does the same thing in a much better way. Now we're getting probably in the most exciting category, and that is oscillators. Again, we're going to start with 2 HP. I have 2 oscillator modules. One is sine, which is just a sine waveform. I love sine signals because they're so round and beautiful. This also has a wavefold, which alters the sine wave sound by a lot. So for the price, and if you like to use sine waves, this is a very good choice. And after that, we have a very new 2 HP module, which is called Swarm. This is like a hyper saw wave type of oscillator. You can add more stacks of saw waves that you can also detune, and yeah, it sounds really good. I love saw waves, and I love this sound of stacked saw waves. So for 2 HP, this is a great module. Sounds incredible, sounds really good for the price and for the size, and you actually have quite a lot of control over it. Moving on to another weird oscillator, which is Sibylla by Cladders. I think lately they added like an expander to this module. This is a journey. I mean, this is a complicated module for an oscillator because it does everything in its own way. I also have a review for this on the website. It has an LFO, it has envelopes, it has a filter. So it's essentially a voice, not really an oscillator, because you can use that and you don't need filters or envelopes or whatever. And it allows you to add more harmonics to your bass pitch, which can get out of hand really fast. You can find a lot of sweet spots with this oscillator that sounds incredibly beautiful, but most of the time you're in between of inharmonic content. But overall, I think that Cladders made something completely new with this module. It's also a great module for drone type of sounds, so you can create like a drone that goes below your main sounds. And yeah, I think it's definitely an experimental type of oscillator or synth voice. So if you're up for exploration, you can spend hours playing with this module right here. After that, we have a pretty basic oscillator, which is Ona by Nano Modules again. Here you have your typical oscillator with a ton of waveforms as outputs. It has 8 different waveforms that you can use. It has pulse width modulation, FM. It can also become an LFO by flicking a switch. And it has this octave knob right here that is moving into fixed positions, which I really like to tweak when I'm playing. The only thing I don't like about this module is that I wish I could modulate this knob right here, the octave switcher, because it creates this glide type of sound when you're switching octaves. If you want something simple for your first oscillator, I think it's a good choice. I got it as my first oscillator when I got the case, and I'm quite happy with it because I can also use it as an LFO now, which is a really powerful LFO because you have all those waveforms and you can also sync it. Moving on to 2 of my favorite oscillators. One is Twin Waves by Clavis. This is a digital oscillator with tons of different waveforms. It even has drums. It can also act as a really powerful LFO, and you have 2 completely separate oscillators. As a digital oscillator, this is incredible. It has so many sounds in it. It's really easy to use, and it just sounds really nice. After that, we're going back to Winterbloom, and this is Castor and Pollux 2 plus the expander that it comes with. This oscillator is inspired by the Juno oscillator, but it's a dual oscillator. You have 2 completely independent oscillators that you can also use as a single output. It has saw waves and square waves, just like the Juno, and sounds completely massive. All the knobs right here do different effects, and the only problem I have with it is that you don't really know what you're doing each time with the knobs. The visual indications of the lights are not really helpful, but only as an oscillator. I'm using it all the time. It's my go-to oscillator because it just sounds great. Last but not least, we have an amazing oscillator module that we're going to do a full review very soon, and that is Coral by Oxy Instruments. What can I say about this? I mean, this module right here is a complete synthesizer. I think it has 8 voices. This can be like your one and only module because it can do everything. It sounds incredible. It has so many different sounds and flavors of sound in it, and it is a complete powerhouse of a module. Before we close the oscillator category, I'm gonna add 2 more modules that I recently got, and I'm planning to do a full review very soon. And these are not exactly oscillators, but they're drum modules. They're both by Western Precision Audio, and the first one is the B2, the kick and the bass voice, which is a massive module that can create kick sounds, but also really thick and massive bass sounds. And the other one is the analog drum synthesizer, that is essentially a drum machine with 6 different voices. It has your kick, your snare, your open hi-hat, and your close hi-hat. It has a cymbal and a clap. This is a drum machine in a single module. You don't have a lot of control over the sounds, but if you want a straightforward analog drum machine, this is an incredible choice. When I was starting Modular, I said to myself 2 things. First, I'm never gonna get any drum modules, and yeah, here we are, we have 2 of them. And the other thing that I said to myself that we're gonna talk about now is that I'll never get into Eurorack effects. But yeah, I'm now gonna use the second case only for effects, and I'm planning to add even more effects. So the promise I gave to myself was a complete lie. So next category is effects. So does anyone wanna guess how we're gonna start this category? Yeah, 2 HP again. First module is slice, which is a bit slicer and repeater. I'm not really into these type of effects. I haven't used this too much, but lately I'm trying more glitchy stuff, and this comes quite handy because it can do all those glitchy bit repeating type of effects. And again, by 2 HP, we have the lo-fi, which is, as you'd expect, a lo-fi module that creates whoa and flatter. It adds noise to your sound, but the cool thing about this module is that it's not only doing that. It has a secondary mode where you can use with this switch right here, which adds beat crushing and distortion, and both modes sound really nice. So again, for the price and the size, a really cool effect. After that, we're gonna check out the Milky Way by Endorphins. Endorphins is an amazing company making amazing effects. This is a multi-effects. It has so many effects built in: reverbs, flangers, distortion. It has anything that you can think about. The labeling is a bit mysterious, but the effects sound really good. And the thing about modules like this, which are multi-effects modules, is that you have a lot of versatility with them. You can use them in multiple ways, in multiple patches, and you can always find the exact effect you want. In the same philosophy, we have the Oxy Meta Effects. This is also a powerhouse of effects. It has a reverb, it has the riser effect, filter, a looper, a delay, gator. I mean, this module is meant to be performed. I've only used it a couple of times because it's quite new in the studio, and this is also going to be reviewed with the choral in the following weeks. After that, we have one of my favorite modules, which is Homicide by Omforce. I'm not going to say too much about it. I have a full video only about this module. This is probably the best distortion module you can find out there. It has tons of algorithms, sounds really nasty in a good way, and if you love distortion like I do, this is the way to go. Another brand new addition in my setup, which I haven't had the time to check out, but I'm gonna do a full review on this module, is the BeatQuest by Dr. Scientist. You probably know the pedal, the BeatQuest, which is a really old pedal, but after all those years, I think the BeatQuest is kind of a legendary pedal. It has a lot of effects. They all have so much character and then lo-fi nature. I mean, I can't wait to add this and play with it. I really think this is going to be one of my favorite effects. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, we're going to cover everything about this soon. And lastly, we have 2 modules by Erica Synth, the Black Stereo Delay version 2 and the Black Stereo Reverb. These 2 modules right here. Nothing too weird about them, just your stereo delay and your stereo reverb. They have 3 modes and 3 types that you can combine, both in the delay and the reverb module. My one and only problem with these modules is that you cannot modulate the dry wet control, but other than that, these 2 modules just sound so beautiful. Both of them can sound really massive, can be subtle, can do all of those things, and the core sound of the delay and the reverb is simply beautiful. So if you're looking for your typical delay into reverb type of effect, these things right here might be one of the best combos you can find. So that was it. The new case is done, which is kind of a lie because between filming this part and the part that you just saw with the modules, I added a couple of modules to the big case, and that's the beauty of it. That's how it goes with modular. You keep adding stuff, you keep having new ideas, and that's the fun of it, actually. That's why it's so addictive, because you can change stuff, you can add stuff, you can have ideas that you can, put in a case and play with them. It is intimidating, it is expensive, but it's the most fun thing you can do with music gear, I guess, because you create your own thing that no one else has. That's really inspiring, and the experimentation you can do is out of this world. You can do anything you want, and that's why it's so popular and so many people love it. So if you made it to this point, thank you for being here, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, because I really enjoyed talking about gear, and I've been through all of the stages of having like a big system from having a couple of modules, and if I can help anyone do their modular journey, feel free to ask anything you want. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel grow, and I hope to see you on the next one. Love you.